Genesis 22 plunges us into a narrative of agonizing tension and extraordinary faith. It is a story that has echoed through the ages, a tale of a man whose faith was tested in the most unimaginable way. Abraham, the father of nations, receives a command from God, a command that chills him to the bone. This command was not just a simple request, it was a divine decree that would shake the very foundations of his being. He is to take Isaac, his son, his only son, the son he loves, to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering. The journey to Moriah was not just a physical trek, but a spiritual odyssey, laden with the weight of impending sacrifice. Imagine the weight of those words on Abraham's heart. Each step he took towards Moriah must have felt like a step towards an abyss, a chasm of despair and confusion. This was no ordinary test. It was a trial that would push the boundaries of human endurance and faith. The stakes were unimaginably high and the cost was beyond comprehension. This was a crucible of faith, heated by the flames of unimaginable sacrifice. The fire that Abraham faced was not just a physical one, but a spiritual inferno that threatened to consume his very soul. Abraham had waited decades for Isaac. The promise of a son had been a beacon of hope in his life, a light that had guided him through years of waiting and longing. He was a miracle child, a symbol of God's promise. Isaac was not just a son, he was the embodiment of God's covenant, a living testament to divine faithfulness, and now God was asking for him back. The request was as heart-wrenching as it was perplexing. How could the God who had given such a precious gift now demand its return? Could Abraham trust God with the very thing he held most dear? The question gnawed at his soul, a relentless whisper of doubt and fear. The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating, a testament to the depth of Abraham's trial. It was a moment of profound crisis, where faith and doubt collided in a battle for his heart. Abraham could have questioned God. He could have demanded an explanation, sought to understand the divine reasoning behind such a painful command. He could have bargained or begged. He could have pleaded for an alternative, a different path that did not involve such a heart-wrenching sacrifice. But he chose obedience, a decision born not of blind submission, but of an unshakable faith forged in the fires of his relationship with God. It was a faith that had been tested and refined over years of walking with the divine. It is in these moments of agonizing surrender that true faith is revealed, a faith that does not waver in the face of the impossible but stands firm, anchored in the trustworthiness of God, a faith that shines brightest against the backdrop of unimaginable darkness. It is in the darkest nights that the stars shine the brightest, and so it was with Abraham's faith, a beacon of hope and trust in the midst of his deepest trial. The journey to Moriah was 3 days long, a journey filled with silence and contemplation. 3 days for the weight of God's command to press down on Abraham, each step heavier than the last. 3 days for the unspoken question to linger between father and son, a question neither dared to voice. We are not told of any conversation, any argument, any pleas. The silence speaks volumes. The Bible describes a haunting silence, a silence pregnant with meaning, a silence that echoes through the ages. In that silence we see the depth of Abraham's anguish, the turmoil in his heart, the pain etched on his face. He doesn't shield himself from the reality of the situation. He faces it head-on, with a resolve that is both heartbreaking and inspiring. He carries the wood for the sacrifice on his own back, a physical manifestation of the burden he carries in his heart, a burden that grows heavier with each passing moment. Every step towards Moriah is a step closer to the unimaginable, yet Abraham doesn't falter. His faith and determination guide him, even in the face of the unknown. As they approached the place of sacrifice, Isaac, young and innocent, broke the silence. His small voice echoed in the vast, empty landscape, a stark contrast to the heavy burden his father carried. "Father?" he asked. "The fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" His eyes, wide with curiosity and trust, searched his father's face for an answer. It was a simple question, innocent and pure, yet it pierced Abraham's heart like a knife. The weight of his son's words bore down on him, intensifying the internal struggle he faced. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you find the words to convey a divine command that defies human understanding? How do you comfort when you yourself are wrestling with doubt and despair? Abraham's heart ached, torn between his love for his son and his unwavering faith in God. God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham replied. His voice, though steady, carried the weight of his inner turmoil. In these words we see the unwavering nature of Abraham's faith. Despite the uncertainty, he clung to his belief that God would intervene. He doesn't understand how, but he trusts that God will provide. This trust, this faith, is what guides him through the darkest moments, giving him the strength to move forward. Abraham built the altar. He bound Isaac and laid him upon it. And as he raised the knife, his heart breaking with every beat, the angel of the Lord cried out from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." Relief, like a tidal wave, must have washed over him. The angel stayed his hand, preventing the unthinkable. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," the angel commanded. "Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." At this moment, Abraham's faith was proved true. He had passed the test, not by understanding, but by trusting. Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. He went over and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. In this act, God demonstrated his faithfulness, his mercy, and his love. He provided. Abraham called that place "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." Jehovah-Jireh became a testament to God's provision, a beacon of hope for generations to come.